Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We are finally back. You heard the music. You know it's time for the RaceFanHeaven Show. We have been away so long. I am RaceFan Ric. That is Mandy. Hi, Mandy.
Hi.
We are doing the pandemic shuffle here. We are Zooming.
We are social distancing.
Right? There's nobody near you in your home studio, right? You're good.
No, just my picks here.
Yeah, your picks there. Your picks over there. There you go. Nice. I have a lot of picks, as you can see behind me. You know, I've done a lot of decorating, as you can tell. We are here. Hello.
Hello.
Excited? Are you excited to be back?
Yes.
Seriously.
Finally.
Seriously. I mean,
seriously.
This is great, right?
Yes, it is.
We are finally back in the house. That's right. and we've got new toys to play with, apparently. So anyway, we don't have a lot of time.
No, we don't.
We are excited to be back. We're sorry to all you fans out there. Thank you for sticking with us. We really, really, really appreciate it a lot.
We do
a lot. We really do. It's been a long, hard road these last 4 months for everybody on the planet, and we kind of sat back and retooled and waited for race cars to get back on the racetrack. And guess what happened last night?
We had a race.
Cars on the racetrack. That's right. So we're going to talk all IndyCar today.
All IndyCar.
All right, we're going to talk all IndyCar. We're going to do a nice little recap of the first ever season opening IndyCar race at Texas Motor Speedway. That sounds crazy,
and
right?
The 3-in-1. Don't forget the first ever practice, quali, and race in one day.
Sure, the one-day show. We're going to talk about that. I know, right? It's crazy. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. And
that's right.
Just in case you needed to know, today we're powered by Corona Extra. That's right. I'm powered by Corona Extra.
I have my IndyCar cup.
Oh, nice. Very nice. So what's in that cup? Are you gonna divulge what's in that cup? Margarita, rum and Coke? What do we got? Like you don't know. Oh, let me check. I'm not sure what I'm drinking today. Oh, man.
Cerveza.
Oh. Excuse me?
Cerveza.
Oh, gotcha.
Beer
kind.
Beer.
I need one of those cups. Where'd you get that?
I should have gotten you one. It's got it from the Indy 500.
Nice.
The IMS store. The IMS store. I bought some cute, just generic IndyCar shirts because I know.
Cool.
And I also bought Arena's shirt and an Alexander Rossi shirt.
Oh, gee, shocker. So everybody go to the IMS store. I don't know what the link is, but I'm sure
it is. It's I think you can just look up IMS store. IMS.
Yeah,
I think
whatever.
You just put IMS store. It's the gifts.
IMS, we're plugging you.
It's the gift store. They have like I just spit. Sorry. It's the IMS.
All right, enough silliness. I'm sorry. I forgot we have very little time.
We do. I know. That's the problem. We have to
be right? Well,
serious.
We're gonna hit the IndyCar race from last night, hard and heavy and fast. Heavy. Since we're back in the next few weeks, we'll be talking about a lot of different things.
It's the IMS store shop. It's shop.ims.com, and it's the official online shop for IndyCar, and you can get all kinds of stuff. You can get everything.
They just got a free plug from us. Look at that.
I bought a bunch of cute stuff from there, like some shirts and
nice.
Some things.
I love it. I love it.
Perfect. Okay.
Cool. So we're gonna hit IndyCar hard. We're so excited to be back, of course. Definitely. In the coming weeks. By the way, this is RaceFanHeaven. You can reach us at our website, RaceFanHeaven.com. You can hear us a lot on Twitter. I'm RaceFan Ric. I have a little Twitter, but you don't want that. You want the RaceFanHeaven Twitter. Mandy is
at Mandy C TV.
At Mandy C, the letter C, TV. We say a lot of crazy stuff on Twitter, so follow us. That's really fun. Facebook, we're on Facebook as well. RaceFanHeaven. You have a separate Facebook though, right?
It's just my name, Mandy Curry.
Oh, okay.
M-A-N. It's just M-A-N-D-Y.
Is that your personal Facebook, or do you have like a racing Facebook?
I don't have a racing one. That's just, I've kind of merged it from my, it's funny because I have so many of from my producing days, I have so many people like from shows that I produced with like talent and stuff, but it's all merged.
Put them all. All you talk's racing anyway. You don't put anything on Facebook but racing anyway, hardly, right?
That's all I do now. So I'm like, if you still want to be friends with me, that's cool. It's just all racing.
Cool. Yeah, sure, whatever.
That's cool.
Cool. So you can check us out there. Follow us. Our YouTube. You can link from our website. And this is going to be on YouTube. Hopefully you're watching it on YouTube. And we'll be doing a lot more of this kind of stuff. So stay tuned. We're going to have a bunch of fun. We're going to actually have something behind us someday. You already do, but we'll have things like, I don't know, maybe some video clips, maybe some.
We can.
I don't know what we're going to have. We haven't even figured it out yet. But we're going to have something. You're the video girl. We'll worry about that. Yeah.
Well, we have to wait till we can be together again.
True. Together again. Okay. So, yeah, when we can actually be in the same room or whatever. That's right. So we're excited. We hope you're excited. The racing season has restarted. Now, of course, we're kind of, IndyCar F1 people, but NASCAR started, before. Supercross has started. NHR is starting up soon. F1 is starting up soon. We're getting back to the real world. So thank you, Lord.
Finally.
Can't wait to get back to the real world. Stay safe. Let's get back to our fun stuff. Okay. All right. Now, Texas Motor Speedway. So after all the mess of the pandemic, they finally, the state of Texas allowed a sporting event to happen. No fans, unfortunately, but it was great because that allowed us, IndyCar, to jump in the first live sporting event in Texas since the start of the pandemic. So that's good.
It is good.
But great thing for our home track. That's our home track. It's hard for us to watch last night because we're usually like at that race.
Well, technically, COTA is our home track. That's our second home track.
We kind of have a double. We have both.
It is a double.
Yeah, I mean, to stay in Texas, I consider them. Yeah,
it's true.
Kind of the same. Yeah.
Same.
But we would normally have been there, and we weren't.
No,
it's tough to watch. Not fun. But it was good, right? But we'd normally be there cutting up there at the racetrack.
Sweating our faces off. I was going to say other things, but I kept it PG.
And other things. That's right.
Track temperature at 100. Sweat our feet off. Track temperature 130 degrees. But that's track temp.
Yeah, but it was hot. It was hot last year. Remember?
It was so hot last year. My face, all my makeup melted off. I had it looked like horrible. Someone poured a drink.
Couldn't have had video last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been awful. We hosed you down there. We put you in the parking lot at the hotel and just
nice.
We're good. You were good the next day. You were fine. All right. Let's stop cutting around and messing around and being silly and talk about the race, right?
Talk about the race.
So 1 day show.
1 day
big
show.
Big deal, right? First time ever.
First time ever. Yes.
And with a lot of side effects, right? A lot of weird things were caused by that.
A lot of things were caused by that. So, because when you have something, when you have practice on 1 day and quali and the race on another day, if you mess up in practice, it's not. I mean, obviously, it's always a big deal if you mess up and you crash your car. Sure. But when you do it on practice, and then you have time to recoup, right?
Yep.
But you don't have time to recoup when you have to do all three on 1 day, right? Yeah. So our first victim of the oval,
unfortunately,
can we have a moment? I need a moment.
A young boy.
Hold a moment.
Of silence, please.
A moment of silence. Rinus VeeKay, my favorite rookie too. Gosh, they don't call him Rocket Rinus because he's slow, and true. He went full throttle out there, and he definitely crashed his car during practice.
Yeah, and it was deal was admittedly, he even said he just went, and I don't even know what he was thinking. He was way too low. He was a good 4 or 5 feet too low. He was over the white line, and he was at the point where I love that we have video now so I can do this. He was at the point where the banking meets the flat part of the racetrack, and he had his wheels over that. You can't do that. I don't know what he was thinking, but
you can't do that.
He's a rookie, and it happened.
It is. And so just to kind of give, I think we should just give a little bit of context here about Texas Motor Speedway, because just not to just call out the fact that, he's a rookie making a rookie mistake.
Yeah, they all do. We're all rookies at one point.
No, they all do. Sure. But what I was going to say is Texas Motor Speedway, the oval, is such a tricky track, period.
Sure.
For veterans.
Sure.
Last year, do you remember last year before our very eyes when Scott Dixon and Colton Herta boom.
Yep.
Came out, and that happened.
Well, and also in practice yesterday, Hunter Ray spun out, Carpenter spun out. I mean, those are not rookies at all.
Those aren't rookies. That's right. And Ed Carpenter was able to save his car. Yep. Renus wasn't. Ryan Hunter Ray did that, and then the other, if we're gonna. Takuma Sato, in qualifying, he crashed his car.
That was one that was very puzzling to me, because he was on his warm-up lap, number one, and number two, the whole talk of practice was and if you didn't see the race yet, I'm sure you probably all did, but
you have to if you're listening to us.
Yeah. But at Texas Motor Speedway last year, they put this stuff they use for our European friends on these ovals, especially for NASCAR. They use this thing called the traction compound. It's like a sticky substance that they lay down on the track, and normally it gives more grip to that part of the track. And the reason that they do that is they're trying to make the racing for the NASCAR guys and IndyCar, but mostly the NASCAR guys, better, because it's on the higher line, which is generally slower at that track. So they try to give more grip up there so that the NASCAR guys can pass, so that the high line and the low line are more equal. Okay.
Right.
Because the low line is usually shorter. It's the shorter way around, and it has more grip. So they put that stuff up there. They did that last year before the NASCAR race back like 8 or 9 months ago. Mm-hmm. Well, because of the coronavirus, there was no testing, right?
There was no testing.
Nobody'd been there for all spring. And in Texas, it gets really, really hot. The track heats up really, really quickly. It does. And those lanes in the turns literally had no grip. I mean, they were like ice.
Yeah.
So I'm getting back to my point, trust me, and then I'll let you fly. So everybody knew there was no grip up there. Mm-hmm. And Sato goes out there on his warm-up lap and goes right up there.
Yeah.
When he's coming up to speed, and just spun out. And I couldn't understand. I'm not trying to jump on Sato, but I'm like, why are you up there? What are you even doing up there? Nobody went up there. They all knew that it's like going from grip to ice or grip to no grip immediately. Right. So I couldn't figure that out.
Yeah, I couldn't. That was it. Well, and you know what else is kind of interesting is, so you have Renus, who kind of set the stage there, and I'm sure all the rookies watching him were kind of like, oh, okay, now we know what not to do.
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Yeah, you're right.
So there we go. And then you have Ryan Hunter Ray lose it in practice, and then you have the other veteran drivers like, ooh, okay. Sure. There's no grip there. Okay, there's no grip there, and then there's no grip on that part of the track. And then they learn, and then you have Takuma Sato, who's the only one who crashed, and I can't figure that out either. Yeah, but regardless of it, he didn't have time. They didn't have time to fix his car.
No. And again, because of the one-day show, he wrecked the car so hard that, and it was in quali, which was only a couple hours before the race. There was no time to fix the car, so they just had to withdraw, and Sato didn't even start the race, which is terrible. Now, Renus was in practice, which was 4 or 5 or 6 hours before the race, whatever it was.
He couldn't qualify, so they couldn't.
But they had time to fix the car.
They did.
Right.
And I want to point out too, which something that I think is really cool, because I always like to talk about IndyCar being this big family. And if you remember, if you watched the race, the commentators were talking about, hey, you're probably going to see some pieces of Connor Daly's car on Renus's car because he ran out of parts.
Sure.
And they used pieces, even though Connor Daly was on he was racing for the Carlin team. Normally he's on the Ed Carpenter racing team, with Ed Carpenter and Renus. But even though that he wasn't there, on that team, he was representing Carlin. He still like gave some parts to Renus for his car.
Yeah, they had spares and all that. Yeah,
and I thought that was kind of cool. That was
really cool. It's always been that way in IndyCar.
Exactly, and that's something I just want to point out because it would never happen in F1.
Not in F1,
and that's okay. That's okay. But
we'll talk about that. That's a whole other show. We'll go there.
That's different.
That's a whole different thing. So anyway, so they got through. Just a real quick run, quali rundown. I just want to point out a couple things. The usual suspects started the race up front. Newgarden on the pole, Dixon second, Pagenaud third, Hunter Ray fourth. Loved that Zach Veach started fifth. That was great.
Yeah.
Graham Rahal seventh. That's pretty good for those guys. Rosenquist Rosenquist. Wow. Too much Corona. Felix Rosenquist started ninth. And Tony Kanaan started 10th in his probably final Texas Motor Speedway race. So that was cool. So the quali, other than that, quali was uneventful. Everybody stayed on the low line. Everybody qualified, right? But Sato out of the race, and Renus was in the race but started last because didn't qualify, right?
Exactly. So
then you got the compressed one-day show. And the other thing about the one-day, real quick too, because believe it or not, we're really tight on time already. But one of the things about the one-day the show that's different, not only the time to fix the car, but usually you practice like on Friday, qualify on, have another practice on Saturday, qualify on Saturday. Between Friday and Saturday, the engineers and the drivers, like Friday night, they go to dinner or whatever, and they go, okay, well, let's think about this, and let's kind of, should we try this? Should we try that? Not yesterday, man. You had to make a decision and go, so it was tight. But the cream of the crop rose to the top, as we'll talk about in the race, right?
Right. And we'll talk about that. Yeah. Okay. So, since we were talking about that condensed day in the press conference, someone kind of asked Joseph about it and, or the drivers about it. And they said that the drivers were like, we just feel really bad for the team, not for us. Cause they're like, for us, it's fine. But for them, and you have to
they're working their butt off. Yeah,
exactly. And can you imagine Ryan Hunter-Reay's team? I mean, trying to get it ready, which by the way, after crashing, he qualified really well. What a comeback that was.
Yeah, that was good work. Good work.
Okay. So then I guess you want to go right into the race. We can talk about that.
So the race,
so the race starts.
Right at the start, we had weirdness.
I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah. 3 cars on the grid, Rossi, Rahal, and
Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Right. All had issues on the grid before they even pulled out of the pit lane.
Rahal, Graham Rahal, they keep his car there. He can't make it.
Yep.
But then Ryan Hunter-Reay and both Ryan Hunter-Reay and Rossi get a drive-through penalty because they had unapproved last-minute changes.
Yeah, they had to do things that you're not supposed to be able to do on the grid, so they got penalized for that.
Right. But can you blame them? Can you blame them for that? It
is what it is. Everybody knows it's a penalty. So
regulations, rules are there in place. But it's understandable given the circumstances.
But it was just odd. I guess it's part of the knocking off the rust from. They were last time they were on the track really was COTA spring training, and then they had Sebring. They had testing at Sebring.
Yeah.
And then they were going to go to St. Pete, and then it got canceled, and then they haven't done anything for months.
Right.
There was some rust to knock off there, I guess.
So
but
already
they did get going.
You do. So already you can kind of tell what so COVID-19, if you just bring it up just for that minute, you can already kind of see because what it's doing to the teams. And sure, NASCAR, and I'm sorry, and this isn't a knock. I don't follow NASCAR like that. So I don't follow it as closely as they do IndyCar and Formula One. So, but what we do see, and by the way, IndyCar's definitely more similar to Formula One. So what we're seeing in IndyCar is kind of eye-opening because it's like, wow, this is what's happening. What else is going to happen? You know?
Yeah. Well,
What else?
you did see some poor pit stops, crew's a little rusty.
Willpower had poor
Real-
willpower in the
Oh,
pit
the guy can't catch a break the last couple of years, can he?
can't catch a break.
Well, and Rossi too. Not his pit crew, but just in general.
Yeah, I know his car. Yeah.
Yeah. But so the race started.
The race starts.
And Dixon and Newgarden checked out immediately.
Yeah.
Newgarden leading, Dixon like right behind him. But I mean, I in my notes, I think I wrote it down. But like at lap 15, they were already 1.5 seconds ahead of the field, and they just were pulling away until the first stop. I mean, they were faster than everybody all night long, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, you have, and you also have, there was a point. Yeah, definitely. I was going to say Dixon had a lead of like 10, almost 11 seconds. It was like 10.8. And I forgot. Yeah. And
later on, you're talking about.
Yeah. I'm talking about later on in the race. Yeah, definitely later on in the race. And, but yeah, it's just, it wasn't as entertaining as the oval normally is.
No, Texas is usually very competitive. It usually has a lot of passing.
Lots of passing. So I was going to say, just to kind of help our fans out, in the media conference afterwards, Joseph Newgarden was asked a question, and it was back to Ed Carpenter had said after the race, he said he felt like it was a track position race. So then they asked Joseph Newgarden about this. He felt like it had gotten, if he had gotten to the front, he would have been able to challenge a bit more Carpenter. Firestone does the best job it could. When you can't make tires with COVID-19, this is what you get. Did you feel it was a track position race? And Newgarden says, for me tonight, the number one car, we started first because we had a good team. And we had the power. We just didn't have the race pace, whatsoever.
Well, they had two of the three Penske cars had an issue with vibration. Yes. And, when you hear vibration, you usually think a bad tire or whatever, but they had it throughout the race. So it had to be a setup issue.
It had to be a setup issue.
Not a lot of practice time, not a lot of, no testing. Yeah. And so they set really upset the rear suspension. And by the end of the race, Newgarden was hanging on for dear life.
Yeah, he was. And that's,
yeah.
Yeah. And he said, and Joseph Newgarden goes on to say, I would say it was mostly a track position race. Definitely. Yeah. And so, and fans, race fans, I know, especially on the ovals, one of the reasons why ovals are so exciting and cool is because you see so many like overtakes, so many passing opportunities and everything. So the fact that these cars, the tires weren't able to be, the Firestone tires weren't able to be as good because they didn't have time to work on them this whole season. They were
just a compound from last year because they didn't have, there was no, normally in a season they'll test at certain tracks and do different compounds and figure it out. And this year it's just like, well, we're going to use those because we don't have time to make new ones. We're all shut down too. So
yeah, we're all shut down. So I'm just trying to point out that the COVID-19, you really feel it, and you really see it in IndyCar, the COVID-19 effects. Yeah. So there you go.
So that hopefully we don't ever have that again.
No,
for anybody ever.
And that's what and like I said, just going back to that point, ovals are always exciting for that reason, and now it has become a track position race now.
Yeah, well, the tires and that traction compound. I was talking about going back and forth with some fans on Twitter between practice and the race itself.
Right.
Talking about that, and a couple of them were actually, I won't mention names because they were angry, but they were like, well, yeah, thanks NASCAR for screwing up our race, because they put they kind of put that compound up there for the NASCAR guys. And unfortunately it did have residual effects for IndyCar. Normally the IndyCar race at Texas is a really good race, a lot of passing. And there was, you could tell right after qualifying, I think you and I talked, after practice, you and I talked about it. It's like, there's not going to be any passing tonight. It's not going to, it's almost impossible because once you got out of that bottom groove, you were toast. You literally couldn't do anything except either back off or hit the wall. That was your I mean, I saw Rossi during the race when he started. He was being really aggressive because he was like 2 laps down with all the starting issues and penalties and all. And he tried to be aggressive for a little while, and anybody but Rossi probably would have wrecked. I mean, he went outside to try to make some passes. It's like it's like all of a sudden, you try to go outside of somebody and you hit a patch of oil. I mean, it was that dramatic.
It was that dramatic.
Yeah.
And that's not fair. I mean, it's not fair to blame NASCAR. First of all, when they did that, coronavirus, COVID-19 wasn't even on our radar. Nobody could anticipate that happening. So
True.
no.
Well, and then there wasn't a spring NASCAR race there like there usually is that would rubber in the track differently as well. So there's a lot of variables there.
Totally.
But regardless, it killed the IndyCar race. That compound really did. It really killed it. So then it was kind of follow the leader. Yeah, then it was kind of follow the leader. There was really nothing. Really, the only piece of action that I saw, and I'm not downgrading the race, it's just because of all that, it wasn't a really exciting race. But on the pit stop, it was a first or second stop when Dixon just put a power move on Newgarden. Newgarden came out ahead, and Dixon just went around him on the outside, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Dixon led the rest of the race. He was gone.
He's gone.
But he had a teammate. A little short guy from Sweden.
Wait, before we talk about Frodo. By the way,
Frodo.
Scott Dixon.
I didn't know. Whoa.
Dixon calls him that. Remember? Do you remember?
He said that.
We were at Laguna Seca in the press conference, and Dixon goes, "I call him Frodo."
I know, but now you called him Frodo, so
I'm not going to call him that.
Man, I can't wait. I can't wait to see him.
Felix and I are friends.
I'm going to drag you right to him.
No,
come here.
You did that with Ferrucci too.
Yeah, Ferrucci's smaller than he is.
You always put me on the spot. Okay, but before we talk about Rosenquist, let's remember. Gosh, Renus taking out Alex Palou.
Oh yeah, Renus went ahead and spun.
I feel so bad for him, for Palou. Well, because he was just minding his own business. Yep. He had a really good race, and then
he was doing well. Yeah, first oval race ever for that kid.
Rocket Renus comes in and takes him out.
And he just spins right in front of him. Yep, took him out.
It's bad.
And did you see Renus's little Twitter after the race, or after he was done?
Yeah, I feel so sad.
I felt so bad for him. He was like,
he does feel bad.
I was in the race. I sucked. I'm going home. I'm going to think about this.
Let me think about this.
Oh, I felt so bad for him.
But the good thing is that, Renus obviously owned up to it, as he should. It was his fault.
He knows it was his fault both times.
It's totally his fault both times. And let me just, because this is worth noting. So you want to know how that affects the team.
Right.
So Ed Carpenter was asked.
That's how many minutes we have left, by the way.
How many?
7.
Okay. Yeah. I'll just say it real quick.
Go ahead. Go.
This is just Ed Carpenter saying everything I told Renus to do, he really didn't do, which was being patient, be careful. Best thing.
Exactly.
Best thing I told him before the race.
Nope.
Best thing I told him before the race was to stay out of the marbles. We got a little work to do there on the sponginess of him, but he can drive the car. He was going forward with virtually no practice and having never run an oval IndyCar race. He's going to get there, but it's going to be challenging. We still love him.
Yeah, we still love him. Well, it's only one race, so hey, we'll see what happens.
All right. Okay. Go ahead. Go back to Frodo.
Go back. Man, you were hitting all the bases tonight. Yikes. So anyway, nothing else really important happened until Felix was one of the only cars that was actually making passes. He made a couple of really good passes, not in the turns, as you noticed, but he set them up. He did a great over-under move on, I think, Pagano, coming out of 2 and just blew by him down the back straight, which was awesome. But his car was good. His car was almost as good as Dixon's, I think. And we're down to 20 laps to go, and he's catching him. And then I started to get excited. I said, maybe he'll catch him, And unfortunately, with 9 laps to go, He got after the last pit stop, he got caught up in some traffic when they all came out, and he just felt like it was time to go. If he had any chance of catching Dixon, it was time to go. And he was behind Hinchcliffe, and then Marco was behind him, and he tried to patch Hinchcliffe. He went up in, he took a shot and went up into that traction compound, and that was it. Spun out.
That's it.
And he said after the race that it really wasn't anything Hinch could have done except pull over, which, I mean, that's ridiculous. But Hinch was a lot slower, and Felix was trying to catch up with Dixon. He only had 9 laps to do it. So he went outside and boom, into the wall and took him out. So a second place down to, whatever, he finished 15th or whatever it was, which kind of sucked. But I love, what I love though? A lot of people gave him heat for that. And even he said, I should have just finished second. But I'll tell you one part I loved. I love Rosenquist because he goes for it. Goes for it.
I mean,
he took a shot. He's like, I have a shot at winning this race. I have to do this, or I'm just going to settle for second. Well, he didn't settle for second. He went for it, and I do like that.
That's a true racer.
And it's funny when you meet him. When you meet him, he reminds me of Kimi in
really?
F1. Well, the way he talks, because he doesn't. Everything is kind of like, well, I was going very fast and I was going very slow and I shouldn't have done this and I should have done that. He's very even, you know what I mean? He's very
monotone. Well, and also
he's never super excited and he's never super negative. He's like right in the middle. So he kind of reminds me of that a little bit. So anyway.
Gotcha.
So, and that's pretty much how it finished. Dixon won,
Pagenaud, and then Newgarden.
Yep. Huge shout out to Dixon too. Tied, I think, AJ Foyt for wins in consecutive seasons. He has won a race in the last 18 seasons. It's phenomenal.
That is phenomenal. That is phenomenal.
Also, his 57th win, I believe. He could tie.
No, it's not. It's Scott's 47th win.
47th. Okay.
And he's 5 wins away from Mario Andretti for the second all-time list. Yeah.
And I think he'll get that the way. And he comes out of the box just smoking this year. After all that,
I know.
Big time. Yep.
Exactly.
So good for him.
Exactly. So
and he's got a new kid, so there you go.
There you go.
He's got a boy.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect.
So that's kind of how it ended. It was it was great to be back. We were all excited to be back. I didn't have a chance to look today. Did you see any TV ratings info?
Yes. So thank you for asking.
How did it go? It was on prime time on NBC.
1.4 million viewers.
That wasn't bad.
This is, let me tell you the statistic. So this is the first time since 2016 that a non-Indy 500 race has reached this high.
That's fantastic. It was a perfect opportunity. Yay, IndyCar. Yay, Texas Motor Speedway. Yay, Texas, for allowing it. Thank you, Governor Abbott. We appreciate you.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, it was great. That was a perfect and really big kudos because that race was scheduled to be on NBC Sports Network.
And then they moved it.
And they moved it over to NBC, which is a big deal.
Which is good. Which is good. So
So thank you, NBC. We love you.
Thank you, NBC. Okay.
Gosh, and that kind of wrapped it up. It was kind of like, okay. And then everybody packed up and went home. I will tell you, big kudos to everybody involved, especially the teams. I don't know if you heard this or not, but the teams were not allowed. Well, I don't know if it wasn't allowed or discouraged or whatever, but the teams, I'm talking about the crews. I think they allowed 20 people on each team. And that includes the owner and the PR people and the mechanics and all that and engineers. They only allowed 20 to attend. And all of those people, apparently, from what I understand, got on a plane yesterday morning at 3 a.m. and all flew into Texas, was ready for practice and of course the transporters came in, the day before and all that, but showed up, got in the track, got the cars on the track, practice qualified, did the race, packed their stuff up, got on a plane and went home. They didn't stay in a hotel. Normally they'll come a day before, 2 days before, stay in a hotel. None of that. They didn't allow them to do any of that. So all of those people worked 20 plus hour days yesterday.
That's crazy.
So big kudos to them. I'm glad we didn't have to do that. I wanted to be at the race really badly, but I'm glad we didn't do that.
I know.
So anyway, next race, right, is
July 4th.
July 4th weekend and doubleheader. with NASCAR, first time ever, right? At IMS.
At IMS, but we can't go, and neither can the fans, which is so bad because this is the first time that it's a double header with NASCAR and IndyCar, and
they've been talking about it for how many years? And
I know, and
this
then
coronavirus made it happen.
Yeah,
it'll happen again, I think, too. I really do. I think it's going to be good. So you're going to have IndyCar running on the road course, the Indy road course. You're going to have the NASCAR and Xfinity Series working on the road course. Okay.
Set the alarm.
Sorry. Behind the scenes producing. So Xfinity is going to run the road course, and then NASCAR, the Cup Series, is going to run the oval like they normally do.
Perfect.
So that should be a fun weekend, really.
It should be fun.
I think. Have we heard definitively no fans for that?
Yeah, there's no fans.
Definitely not,
no
right?
No fans. Yeah, from the sources that I've seen,
it's gonna be
the
weird.
news sources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
going
to
be. Of course, it's going to be weird.
God, you got to have fans there. You got to have fans there, right?
All of this is weird.
Yeah, this whole thing is weird. Well, so that kind of wraps up our little portion for the moment. You get any final thoughts?
No, I'm just glad that we're back to racing, even though it's like, even though we're doing the virtual Zoom calls and things like that, it's still better than nothing. And
yeah.
I've really missed racing so much. So
yeah, I wrote a blog post that I'm going to post tomorrow that kind of recaps what we just said on RaceFanHeaven.com. RaceFanHeaven.com. But one of the points I made was, the layoff really made me realize how much I miss racing. You know how you don't appreciate something until it's gone.
Oh, I appreciated it.
Yeah, but I appreciated it even more weekend after weekend after weekend with no racing. I appreciate it a lot more than I ever did.
It's true.
Yep.
It's true.
So that was good. So we will be back. We're not sure when. We're gonna try to do some features, some different things.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on some things.
Since we don't have a. What's the first F1 race?
The same weekend, July.
It's the same weekend?
July 3rd. No, July 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll definitely be back then. So that leaves us 4 weeks in the meantime for things to talk about. So if anybody wants, if anybody has any suggestions, hit us up on Twitter. Yeah. We'd love to hear if you have any suggestions about what you'd like to hear about. We can talk more about the layoff, what's going on in F1. Had a lot of driver changes in F1 on the layoff. That's a whole show by itself.
Look at me.
We'll see if we can keep Mandy from losing her mind on that show. Hint, hint. I don't know. I think you're calmed down from it now, though. I think you're good.
Oh yeah, I've totally calmed down. Yeah. I've come to terms. I've gone through all the emotions. We're obviously talking about Seb.
You do the five steps. You did like the what is it? The grief, despair, anger. You get all through that now. Yeah. Are you to the it is what it is stage?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Well, we'll do a whole show. How about we'll do a whole show about the F1 pandemic off season? How about that?
Right.
All right. We'll do that. We'll do that real soon. Okay. Anyway, I guess that's it. I guess we're going to need to, I don't know. I don't want to because I hate ending the show, but we're probably going to have to play some music on the way out. And we're going to have to say goodbye until next time.
Until next time.
But we will see you soon. Check us out. RaceFanHeaven.com, RaceFanHeaven on Twitter, Mandy Curry on Twitter. Hit us up, and we will see you guys real soon.